Hello, everyone. Welcome to POHI 101. I just enjoy saying POHI. Uh, I'm Nate Greeley. I will be your professor for the course. Of course, this is an online asynchronous course. You'll see my face in these little bubbles in the lectures, but I would love to give one-on-one interactions over Zoom. So I'll hold regular office hours as well. Um, yeah, I'd love it if we could at some point, at least virtually, interact a bit uh, over the course of the semester with each of you. Uh, but now this is me. You can sort of see my face, and for this first lecture, I'm just gonna go through the structure of the course, what's going to be expected, the assignments, and all that stuff, so you have a clear idea of what we like going forward. So just to introduce myself a bit. So yeah, again, my name's Nate Greeley. You can just call me Nate. You don't have to call me Professor Nate or Professor Greeley or that. I have a PhD from UC San Diego. I got a master's at Cal State LA. I got my BA at USC. Um, my main area of specialization is in the history of philosophy and psychology. So I'm not necessarily an expert in, right, the Chinese military strategy, right? But I I enjoy teaching this course, um, and having taught it, uh, I yeah, I can know together we can get a good sense of the history of the world, basically, right? It's a very broad course thing. So I've taught at a number of schools, taught at UC San Diego, taught at Cal State LA, teach at Mount St. Mary's, and I teach here at Woodbury. So and other places as well. I've taught in Compton at the community college there. I teach a course in a prison in Lancaster, so I enjoy sort of interacting with a wide range of different types of students, and I really get a lot out of those sorts of interactions. So my experience with Woodbury students is they're all really quite bright and engaged. So I look forward to this course. So as far as what we'll cover, it's an introduction to world history. Um, with a sort of a focus because it's such a broad thing, right? There's no way we can really even cover even a small part of the history of the world in one course. Um, so the focus of the course is on the major political entities and how they relate to the world we live in now, right? So for a good 2,000 years, and this is roughly where we start. We start a little bit before this, before the Roman Empire with the Greeks, um, but our main starting point is uh, with when the huge empires came on to the scene, the Roman Empire, the Qin in China, the Mayans in the Americas, um, and how the world progressed from that being the main sort of political entity to what we see now, what we would call the nation state, and the progression uh, and some of the causes, some of the explanations for that progression. Uh, so it's an interesting lens through which to view world history. It's not the only lens. Lots of things will get left out. For example, we don't get a chance to um, look at any African civilizations. That's a shame. I would love to do that, right? We do cover Islamic civilization in the Americas, so we do the best we can in the time we have, and it gives you a good starting place, right, to explore history more and get into more specific areas. So today I'm just going to go over the syllabus. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. That's my email there. I'm pretty quick at responding to emails, and I will have regular office hours as well. So this is all this that we're going to look at now is on the syllabus. So feel free to pull that up and look at it as well, or go back to it to refer to it. It's on Moodle. So I'm just going to walk through and explain the syllabus. So again, this is my information and the course information. So I'm going to be posting lectures. You can watch them whenever you like. Do try to keep up, right? I would recommend against sort of leaving it until the night before an exam to try to watch 10 lectures. But I'm going to be posting them every Monday and Wednesday morning. I aim to get them up by 10:15 a.m. Right? I'm going to have regular office hours as well. Um, I'm working out a few scheduling things, so I'm going to let you know exactly when those are going to be on Zoom. Um, so those will be open. I'll be there on Zoom, whether anybody shows up or not. Um, if the office hours that we land on end up not being convenient for you, reach out to me and we'll arrange some time that we can meet. I'll definitely be available to meet with any questions you might have. So, course description. So the idea of this course is to introduce you to some of the major ideas and themes of study of politics and history. Um, we're going to cover some of the key developments in human civilizations. We'll start with the birth of city-states. We'll focus on Athens, Greece. Um, we're going to cover not so much the ancient, so we're not going to go like all the way back to the Sumerians and the Babylonians, right? We're going to be starting around 400 BC. Obviously, there's a lot of history before that, ancient Egypt, cover all of that. But ancient Greece is sort of the beginnings of the sort of political organization that then matures into the Roman Empire, and then simultaneously a different approach in China. Then those empires sort of mature and decline. Then we see the spread of Christianity, the spread of Islam, a sort of religious basis for political organization that is important at a certain stage of history. Then we'll see Europe, the rise of Europe, um, the European conquest of the Americas. Um, we'll also cover what's going on in the American civilization before the encounter of the Europeans. We'll focus on the Mayans. And then when those civilizations, the European and the American civilizations, clash, uh, we have this age of revolutions comes shortly after, where we see some the development from empires into nation states and some political entities that are recognizable today, the United States, you know, and France and so on. So in general, the goals of the course, I want you to have an awareness of these major events, social processes, historical figures, right? Maybe you don't know much about the Qin civilization in China. As a educated citizen, it's good to know that stuff, right? So you're going to walk away with a broad understanding of the history of the world. Um, some of the key terms and theories of political development, political theories, theories of that explain the causes, right, of this sort of development in history, and a general familiarity with world geography and rise and fall of as many empires and areas as we can possibly cover we have. So more specifically, the learning outcomes, you're not just going to be sort of taking in information, right, memorizing dates and names and things like that. We're going to do some analysis. We're going to analyze some political situations and understand, right, the political ideologies, the cultural ideologies, and try to become historians a bit and try to come up with some explanations for the causes of the world that we live in today. So you're going to have to demonstrate your understanding of the various cultures and the histories of the various civilizations, but also some of the theories behind why things happened the way they happened. Right? We'll get into some philosophy as well when we enter into the early modern period. We'll cover like Descartes and Locke and Mary Wollstonecraft because philosophical ideas were very influential in, for example, the American Constitution and the way the United States is organized today. Um, and in general, you'll learn some new vocabulary and develop fluency in understanding and being able to communicate history and politics. So again, the lectures are going to be asynchronous. I'll post them Monday, Wednesday morning. You can watch them whenever you like. Just do try to keep up. That's the danger with these asynchronous courses is that, I'm not checking up on you. So you have to, and my experience with Woodbridge students is they're quite good at this, is staying motivated and staying on top of it and trying to watch and read the readings within a reasonable time. There also will be, to motivate you to stay on top of it, there are weekly discussion posts um, in order to, participate intelligently in those. You will need to keep up with the readings. So I really think that if you do that, if you stay on top of the readings and the lectures, the rest of the course is relatively easy, and I think it's relatively easy for anyone to get a good grade. The only way students typically fail is if they just don't do the readings and don't do the lectures, throw it all together at the last minute. So I design my courses to give you lots of encouragement and rewards for doing that stuff, for staying current, right, with the reading. So you may notice many of the assessments um, are relatively, it's pretty easy to gather points in this course. You just have to stay on top of stuff. Altogether, the discussions, the quizzes, which I'll talk about, and the essay draft, right? Um, that's 55% of your grade, and all of those things are basically like if you're just doing the readings and trying to understand, you're going to ace those parts, right? That's an easy 55% of your grade, so long as you stay. And then the rest of it is, going to be graded on quality. So the midterm, the final exam, and the final draft of your essay, you have to actually demonstrate that, you understand this. But again, that should be relatively easy if you've done. For the essay, this is important. You're going to have to do history of it, right? You're going to have to be a historian. You are an academic at this point, right? So you are going to be making contributions to the literature. So you're going to have some sort of original critical insight uh, as your essay topic. And I'm going to leave it wide open what you can write on. You can write on literally anything that's relevant to the course. It's going to have to be original. You can't just summarize the course material, right? Regurgitate the history of Rome as it occurred in the lecture and the readings. You're going to have to add something to the conversation. And we'll have plenty of time to talk about what that could look like. All right, so here are the actual assessments. So 20% of your grade is from the weekly online discussion. That's a nice big chunk, right? For showing up and demonstrating that you have read the material, you've watched the lectures, and you have something interesting to say. Another reason that I give it that much of a percentage is because this is the proving ground, or this is like the workout area to work on ideas for your essays, right? The idea of these discussions is not just to repeat something you heard in the lecture or summarize the information from the lecture. I want to hear some original thought, right? I want you to say, you know, well, the author suggested that the Aztec uh, civilization declined because of their farming techniques, but that seems to me to be inconsistent with this other part of information that I saw, and I'm wondering if maybe there's this other cause, right? That's the sort of thing I'd like to see in the discussion. Original, feel free to push back, be critical of the readings of what the authors are, the theories that the authors are putting forward, right? You're an academic now, and you have just as much a right to your own ideas. Um, Structure is going to be you're going to post twice every week. So one will be an original thought of your own, right? Of the sort that I just described. Hopefully it'll get you cooking for maybe some paper ideas. Maybe your paper will have started as one of your discussion posts. And then I'd like some interaction. So I'd like at least one reply to another student submission, right? And feel free to engage vigorously, right? Um, Replies to other students' submissions that just say, wow, what a great point. That's not interesting, and that's not going to really get full points, right? So, if what a student posted you think is wrong, say, hey, this was interesting, but have you considered this problem with it? You can be respectful, but also be critical. Pardon me. So I'd like to see, engagement, or, you can take another student's idea and say, I like your idea. Here's something else that could support, your argument here, and so on. So, um, res I make this a large percentage of your grade because it is supposed to be originality and creativity and engagement, not just a place to sort of check in, right? You'll prove it to me by making original points. There will be quizzes. So these will be on Moodle. There'll be multiple choice quizzes. They're designed to be very easy if you have kept up with the reading and watched the lecture. Right? They are saying they're going to be, 5-question quizzes. Hey, what's the main point of this essay, right? A, B, C, or D. And it should be fairly obvious if you have paid attention at all, right? So um, there's an inherent trickiness to multiple choice. People often overthink it, think I'm trying to be tricky or whatever. I'm really just trying to here's what's the main point. I want to make sure that people got the main point of the readings, right? And those will add up to 20% of your grade too. So that's already 40% just for, engaging with the material in a thoughtful way. So the midterm will be 15% of your grade. It's going to be two short essays. By short, I'm thinking 1 to 2 pages each, 2 to 4 pages total. I'll give you the prompts ahead of time, and I'll give you four to choose from. You pick two, your favorite two to write on, whatever parts of the course the most for the first half, and you'll respond in detail to the prompts. The prompts will be very detailed, right? It should be very clear what I expect in your essay, and those will be turned in through Moodle. Then you'll write a draft of your essay. So I don't like my experience, back when I was a TA and when I was a student, is there's a lot of essays that are written based on a prompt that's not particularly original, and you kind of turn it out the night before. And college tends to teach you to write bad papers quickly, right? Now we don't have time in this course to write a great paper, right? But I like to do a little better than maybe you're used to, which means that you're going to have two chances to work on this. You're going to turn in a draft, right? You work through your original idea. It'll be a full essay. It's not an outline or anything like that. Um, in the meantime, right, before your draft, feel free to be communicating with me or with other folks to develop your idea from your discussion. So the draft has to be a full essay. It just doesn't have to be great yet, right? It has to be getting your idea on the page. It has to demonstrate an attempt at original thought, right? If you do that, you'll get the full points, right? And now you'll have something on the page that you can refine and turn into something good, right? So you're not turning in something that you wrote before. It will have been written weeks before, right? And you're polishing. So your final version of the essay will also be 15%. Now that one I'm going to grade on whether it's good. Um, but at that point you will have gotten feedback from me on your draft, and you'll know how to refine it and improve it. Okay? And then there'll be a final exam which mirrors it's the same as the midterm exam. It's just for the second half of the course. Two short essays. You're choosing your favorite two out of four options, and so on. Also for the essay, so again, the topic is wide open. Write on anything that you find to be interesting from the course, that you think you can make an original argument for. But I will post a week or so before the draft is due um, some prompts that might help you spur ideas. Have trouble when I say write something original, people's minds sort of go blank and they think, how can I do that? So I'll give you some prompts that could get you started, but you don't have to write on those prompts at all. Okay, so those are the assessments, right? If anybody has any questions, feel free to email me. The last few things are just the basic things: diversity, equity, and inclusion. Very important. We're committed to it at Woodbury. So I want to make sure that everyone feels welcome in the course, feels comfortable in the course. So if there is any issue that comes up, there are some controversial issues that come up, right? In history, like slavery is common, right? History is pretty sexist, and racism is an interesting concept that operates in different ways in different times in history. Our current racism is sort of different than what was going on in the ancient world, but there's hatred of many kinds and violence of many kinds that we'll be discussing. So if any of that troubles you, right, or you have trouble reading, let me know, and I'm always happy to accommodate and always happy to be corrected or find a way to improve the course that makes everyone feel welcome and able to engage. Right? So just feel free to reach out to me, and I'll always do my best to make sure everyone is included. If you have any accommodations through the Office of Students with Disabilities, let me know. Um, Oftentimes in the asynchronous course, that many of those accommodations are sort of automatically granted because you have as much time as you want to work on the midterms like that. But if you have any that would be relevant here, yeah, please. The only issue is that it goes through that office and then it's forwarded to me. So if you haven't started that process, start it soon so that I am able to give you the accommodations because you have to get it officially from the office before I can do it. Religious accommodation, and if you have any religious holidays or anything else, yeah, let me know about that too, and I'll do my best to help you out there as well. And then academic integrity. So, in an asynchronous course, um, there is the issue of AI papers or having other people write your papers and things like that. And so if it's serious stuff, and uh, it's never worth it in the end. I find I've been dealing with this, been teaching asynchronous courses for a long time. I have a pretty good nose for this stuff, and it's just an awkward uh, of a situation if we have to go, to the through the administrative procedure of like dealing with um, integrity violations. I've done it in the past, and it's not good for anybody. It's always easier to just do your own work. So let me know if you have any questions about what constitutes an academic integrity violation. I'm happy to clarify that for you. All right. Well, I look forward to getting the course started. So that's it for this introductory lecture. Um, the lectures will range. Some of them will, may come in 20, 30 minutes, right? They tend Things tend to go a little faster than they would in the live classroom because there's not that interaction and that discussion. That's why we have the discussion board to sort of cover that part of what's important in a course. Some of them will run a bit longer. When I'm talking about the Roman Empire, it's gonna be a long lecture, but hopefully I try to keep them relatively painless because I know that keeping your attention on one of these videos for too much longer than 30 minutes is um, I will post this and I will see you again virtually, and feel free to reach out at any time.